back to Crunch Time, a panel discussion about your favorite topic, sports.
Drew Brees is not a top 10 quarterback in NFL history. It's simple as that. How do you say that? Drew Brees, you cannot argue with stats.
And I know for a fact it's going to be the best team in the East. It is the Toronto Raptors because of Kawhi Leonard.
I'm going to talk about another team that I want to be a Cinderella story so bad, and that's UCF. I talked about it earlier. They're ranked 12th in the nation. They beat Auburn last year in their bowl game.
It's Crunch Time.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of Crunch Time, a panel discussion show where we talk about your favorite topic, sports. I'm your host, Alex Cotter. Alongside me, Blake Tyson, Ernie Cotter, and Austin Schindler. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing fantastic.
I stepped out of my executive producer role to show these kids what's happening once again.
These two are doing today.
Well, we're going to start off with our big crunch. I hope you guys are ready. After all the upsets and crazy endings and Cinderella stories, the NCAA men's basketball tournament is close to wrapping up with only 4 teams remaining. Michigan State, Virginia, Auburn, and Texas Tech will be heading to Minneapolis for the Final Four. The Spartans will battle the Red Raiders, and the Cavaliers will look to slay the Tigers. With the winner of those 2 games will face off in the national championship game, where only one will be crowned champion. Guys, who's your 2019 national champion? Blake, we'll start with you.
Oh, give me the Auburn Tigers. Auburn. Oh, I love them. Okay, look at this. They've won 9 of the last 10 coming into the tournament. They won the SEC. They look fantastic. They were maybe a little bit underseeded because of their slow start to the year, and they came on hot late. They struggled early in the tournament with that game against New Mexico State, but then after that, they rebounded. They knocked off Kansas, UNC, Kentucky. I mean, knocking off 3 perennial programs.
Too.
And convincingly. And I think that just Virginia, to me, isn't that great of a team. Obviously, they're 1 seed, but they have struggled in the tournament in the past. I know they made it to the Final Four this year, but I just don't see them doing it. So Auburn's my team.
All right, Ernie?
I'm going to have to disagree with you. I'm going to have to go with Texas Tech, okay? This is a team I did not expect to do as well when the tournament started, but their defense is so locked down, okay? They destroyed Michigan in a game that many people thought Michigan would win. They have a great defense, the best defense in Ken Pom history, which the other team that had that second highest one all time was Memphis, and they went to the national title game. We all know how that one went down in one of the classics. I just don't see Auburn is a 3-point shooting team, and if they get cold or if they're locked up on defense by this very good Texas Tech team, I don't think they can take it. And Virginia's one of their top players is Kyle Guy, and he's shooting only 21% from 3 and only averaging 11 points per game. This man cannot take out this top defense.
All right, let's go to Austin.
All right, well, my national championship, we're talking Auburn and we're talking Michigan State. It's happened every year. I just cannot trust Virginia for the life of me. And I really like what Auburn has brought to the table so far. Yeah, sure, they lost one of their best players, but they still have Bryce Brown and Jared Harper who will chuck shots at will. And they play a really fast-paced offense as well. And the only reason Virginia really won that last game is because Carson Edwards had a great game. But he's chucking these shots during overtime. They're 5 feet beyond the 3-point line. It's like, all right, you could have got a better shot there. But my national champion, Michigan State, because all the experience they have. They have Cassius Winston, who's running the helm right now for Michigan State. Tom Izzo's got these guys in order. Xavier Tillman has also been huge, stepping up. And they've also got double-digit games from Gabe Brown, Matt McQuaid, Nick Ward. All these guys can contribute, and they will contribute to this national championship run, which will lead to Tom Izzo raising.
How confident are you guys in your picks to win the national championship?
I'm very confident. Like you mentioned with Auburn, the high-tempo offense that they run, I think it just – even if they match up with the Texas Tech, I think that would be the most interesting game because Texas Tech because their defense is so good, and I think it would just be
Texas Tech has locked up all of their opponents
2 heads
so
button
far.
it. I think it'd be a
Michigan
great
State's
game.
Winston is an incredible player. Don't get me wrong, but he's still a small point guard that's not going to be able to go in and score on these teams. All right.
But they have been. Michigan State has been washing through these opponents so far. Sure, they haven't met a Texas Tech yet, but you've also said that the best defensive team to make it to the national championship was Memphis. Well, they lost. They didn't make it.
All right.
Prior years,
all right, guys,
Virginia
I'm going to have to cut you off there. I'm going to give that point to Blake. I felt like you made a great argument about Auburn. I think that they have a really good shot at winning.
Making the title, not winning it. Come on.
All right, and now with the college basketball season wrapping up and players will start to declare to the NBA draft, Zion Williamson is the heavy favorite to go number 1 overall, and there are plenty of other guys that have raised their stock throughout the tournament. Who's a guy that really raised their draft stock throughout the tournament for you guys this year?
Okay, so with me, actually, I'm going to talk about the guy who dropped in the draft stock. RJ Barrett, okay? Zion Williamson played amazing. He played just as well, if not better, than everyone expected him to play in this NCAA tournament, and they still lost. RJ Barrett, starting the season, was thought of as #1 probably pick, if not #2 to Zion. Now, there's no doubt about it that Morant is going to get that #2 pick. Okay, he had a triple-double in his first game against a very good Marquette team. He has passing, his shooting is
I'm about to cut you off. Let's go to Austin.
I do like that. RJ Barrett has fallen off a little bit, but I like Carson Edwards of Purdue. I did give him a little heck before with all his chucking, but that's what you want to see in the NBA. That's what the NBA is now. And that 40-point game against Virginia, that showed a lot for me. And the absolute, he just chucked the shot. He wasn't thinking about it. He just let it fly, kind of like you don't want to say Steph Curry or Trae Young because he's not quite there yet. But he's labeled as a second-round pick right now. Second-team All-American.
Let's go to Blake.
He's a good hit, no matter what.
You had somebody that fell. You had somebody that rose a lot. To me, it's somebody that just kind of solidified where they're going to be, and that's Ja Morant. Coming out of Murray State, which doesn't play a lot of high-caliber competition, for some scouts that could kind of be concerning, and I think that he just really solidified coming in, posting at the triple-double against a good Marquette team. I think he just solidified and showed teams, look, he can play well, and he can play in the NBA. I do like Carson Edwards. I just think that at best he's probably a late first now. Just because he's not a freshman and teams, don't want to draft older guys. And I just think that Morant really solidified
Morant's
himself.
a sophomore. He's still not a freshman at this point. And Carson Edwards, he just turned 21, which is something I really also looked at when I'm looking at this guy. People are labeling him as a second-round pick. Heck, I'll throw a second-round pick at him. If you're going to get me a guy that can get 40 points during an NCAA tournament game, that's a guy that's going to want to step up on the NBA court. And that's a guy I wouldn't mind running the show for the Wolves because we don't have a killer. And there's no killer instinct for the Timberwolves at point guard right now.
See, I'm going to have to agree with you on that. This NBA has turned so much into a three-point shooting league, and Carson Edwards just lit it up.
All right, I'm going to have to cut you guys off. I'm going to give that point to Austin. I think Carson Edwards really played well throughout the tournament, throughout the whole year. He played in a very competitive conference this year in the Big Ten. I think Carson Edwards really did raise his stock. All right, now, arguably the most disappointing team this season in the NBA has been the Los Angeles Lakers. With all this promise going into the season surrounding the team's addition of LeBron James and a hope that the Lakers' young talent would have a breakout season. Los Angeles had their eyes on a deep playoff run, and now that the Lakers are officially eliminated from the playoffs and have shut down LeBron James for the rest of the season, who is to blame for the Lakers' struggles? We'll go over to Austin for this one.
All right, this is something I have been waiting very, very much for. I need the camera right on me right now because it is not LeBron James that you should put the blame on. It's Magic Johnson for so many bad decisions and bringing in LeBron James. He didn't offer Julius Randle. No offer for Brook Lopez, who's one of the best three-point shooters in the league right now, both having career years. You bring in this 34-year-old James with the meme squad of JaVale McGee, Lance Stevenson, Michael Beasley. Fun to watch, but that's not going to win you any games.
Let's cut you off. Let's go, Blake.
I think you blame LeBron, you can blame the injuries, and you can absolutely blame the front office. First off, LeBron, his stats are nearly identical to last year, but his team is doing a lot worse. Hello to the Western Conference. But LeBron does not adapt to the system. LeBron traditionally has been the system, and I think he's failing where he needs to adapt. He doesn't have shooters around him, so he's collapsing the front office. Magic didn't surround LeBron with shooters or with talent and hasn't brought in any all-star talent. And then, you can blame the injury bug. LeBron's going to miss 27 games.
Ernie.
See, I'm going to have to say that the blame, say goodbye to Luke Walton, LA, okay? This man could not coach this team to the level that they needed. He's gotten his chance, okay? The thing is, also, it is partially to blame with LeBron. Every time he's gone to a team, that head coach has been fired or under a lot of scrutiny right away. And that's because LeBron wants a system that plays to his strengths and not a system that necessarily complements everyone on the team. Sure, there were some injury problems, but I mean, look at the Heat in 2011. They lost that finals when they were definitely the superior team to the Mavericks. Look at them against the Warriors, his first year at the Cavs. Sure, he pushed it to 6 games, but that was after Kyrie and Love were out and he was kind of able to do his own thing. But he just doesn't work well with others, especially in that first year.
Not only
Who do you
that,
bring in to replace him? Who do you bring in to replace Luke Walton as that coach? Tyronn Lue, who's already
not
coached
Jason
LeBron?
Kidd.
Jason Kidd.
I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter who's going to be the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers because if LeBron isn't surrounded with a different cast, stuff goes wrong. LeBron starts crying. He starts begging for Anthony
guys,
Davis.
I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to give that point over to Ernie. Luke Walton, I mean, yeah, LeBron has put up the same
injuries
amount
all
of stats,
season.
but with Luke Walton, he's got to develop that young core, and I think he's really failed them
The guy that
as a
LeBron.
team. So after the break, we'll discuss more basketball and also which Husky will make the biggest impact in the NHL. Stay with us. Welcome back, everyone. We got Blake with 2 points, Ernie with 1, and Schindler also with 1. Now, there's a lot of uncertainty in the future of the soap opera we call the Minnesota Timberwolves going into the 2019 offseason. Minnesota remains in a particular situation as far as cap space goes, as Gorgui Dieng and Andrew Wiggins are using up a lot of the cap room to sign other potential free agents. Also, questions still remain if Ryan Saunders will be the head coach of the future. Guys, what's in store for the future of the Minnesota Timberwolves? Blake, we'll start off with you.
I think you should keep Ryan Saunders. That's my personal take. I don't think, I've heard Fred Hoiberg's name thrown around a lot. I don't like that. I mean, why do we keep bringing in all these Chicago people?
Fred Hoiberg's out in Nebraska now.
Well, yeah, but I just think that the younger guys, particularly Wiggins and Towns, have responded a lot better to Saunders' coaching style, and I think that Wiggins is he's played a lot better over these last 8 or so games. Last 9 games, he's had 20-plus points in 8 of them. He's averaging 21 points in the past month.
See, I personally liked Andrew Wiggins coming into the league, but I think it's time for him to go with this team. All right, I do agree with you that they need to keep the head coach. He's been doing a decent job. You got to give him some time to try it out. But I just don't think there's a future there with Andrew Wiggins. He's been a decent player. He did great in his rookie season. And yeah, he has a little streak. He has hot streaks of scoring every now and then, but he isn't a consistent enough complementary star to Towns. They need to build around Towns. He is one of the top 3 centers in the NBA, and he's only going to get better at this young age that he has. He can shoot. He can go inside. He can pass. This man's incredible.
Austin?
You keep Ryan Saunders. That's a no-doubter. The guy's up-and-coming head coach. He's gone 16-22 this season. The last 10 have been it's just been a tank fest. If you're the Wolves, you take whatever offer you can get to get Gorgui Dieng out of there. Something needs to happen with this team because obviously with the roster they have right now, it's not going to happen. Granted, they had plenty of injuries throughout the year. But at this point, if you want to become a good franchise, a great franchise, you have to make some tough moves. You can't be the family business of giving Gorgui a good contract, giving Andrew Wiggins a good contract. You have to make those tough decisions. That's something that the Wolves are incapable of.
What do you guys think they're going to do in the draft?
Depending on where they sit, there's no. I see the other point that I have.
It all depends on where they sit.
You need to get rid of Jeff Teague if possible because
Jeff Teague's on a player option.
Yeah, and so he's going to take that. So you need to try to move him if possible because D Rose and Tyus are both free agents.
They're
this
both
summer,
up.
And there's no point guard.
We could see Teague move on from the Minnesota Timberwolves because
I don't think he's turning down $19 million.
But he's living in Minnesota. Are you sure he doesn't want to play basketball anywhere else?
$19 million.
There's been a lot of
That's it for
disruption.
discussion, guys. I'm going to give that point over to Austin. I think he made a very great point about getting Gorgui Dieng off the payroll. He hasn't been the same player that he's lived up to with his contract. And moving on to the next one. The NBA regular season is coming down to the wire as teams make their last push for the postseason. The Golden State Warriors are looking to three-peat, and Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks are the favorite to come out of the East, but they aren't the only teams that have made a name for themselves this season. Who are some other teams that can make a splash in the playoffs, Ernie?
I think I got to say the Detroit Pistons. Okay, this team looked terrible early on in the season, but now the guard play and the play all around Blake Griffin, who's having a career year for them, has just improved so much. And they've been hot and they've been cold, but this team has great matchups ahead of them. They've played super well against the Raptors. I don't know if they can upset the Raptors, but right now they're at the 6th spot against a 76ers team that's been inconsistent at best. Sure, they have 5 stars, but their bench is not good. It's one of the worst benches in the NBA. And I also think the Celtics are not going to be able to take it either. I think, honestly, coming out of the East, it's going to be 5 or 6 games for the Bucks and Raptors to get to the conference finals.
I do kind of like what you said about the Pistons, but you got to look at the record. They're 500. They're not going to do that much in the playoffs. They have Blake Griffin, they have Andre Drummond, sure, but what else after that? You got to look at the Toronto Raptors here. This is the team I'm looking at. Kawhi Leonard's back in the playoffs. He's been effective no matter where he's been. They have Danny Green, who's one of the best three-point shooters, over 50% behind the arc, as well as Pascal Siakam, could be the most improved player next to D'Angelo Russell. He dropped at 44 career-high points, as well as Serge Ibaka. This team is loaded.
Let's go over to Blake.
Loaded.
None of it matters because the Warriors are still going to go to the finals, and they're probably still going to win it, barring injury.
They've lost the most games they have in years. This is one of the most competitive playoffs we've seen.
That's fine, but they were the 2 seed last year. They still went to the finals. You can say what you want about Chris Paul getting hurt, but they still went to the finals. and they still won the finals, and they smoked the Cavs. I don't care.
With what
We've talked about
roster?
this on the show before. The regular season does not matter, especially when you're as good as the Warriors have. You have 5 All-Stars on that team. You have 3 players averaging 22
Draymond
points
Green
or
has
more.
arguably had one of the worst season
Regardless,
of his career since
Do
his
you
Do you
Inside the
think
court
that
is incredible.
all the drama with Durant maybe going to New
Yes.
York is going to
Well,
distract
yes.
him?
Why? No.
Yes.
That drama has been over with. They're still the best team. They have the best talent in the NBA.
They have
And
talent, but
if there's one sport
they
where
still have that in the
talent
back of that
matters more
mind that
than chemistry or
KD
anything,
and
it's-
Draymond might go somewhere else as well as
Who
Clay.
cares?
He's probably going to
so
stay,
so
but
they've
there's
got
still
one
that-
more year than to three-peat. Take your three-peat and break up after that, but it's not bothering them now.
Would you disagree that the Warriors are the most vulnerable that they've ever been?
Yes, this is the
They're
year.
the
Maybe,
most
but
vulnerable
that
they've
doesn't mean
ever
they
I gotta
aren't
been.
cut
still
you
the
guys.
best
I
team.
gotta cut you guys off. I think at the end of the day, the Warriors are way too good, and nothing else matters. I'm gonna give that point over to Blake. And we'll head to the rink now as St. Cloud State took a crushing loss in the first round of the NCAA tournament for the second year in a row. The Huskies will be losing a lot of firepower on the ice as seniors Patrick Newell, Jimmy Schultz, Jacob Benson, and Robbie Jackson will be graduating and will sign with teams throughout the NHL. Newell has inked a deal with the Rangers, and Captain Jimmy Schultz has signed with the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Also, junior Ryan Poehling is heading north of the 49th parallel to the Canadiens. But out of all these guys so far that we know so far, who will make the biggest impact in the league? We'll start off with Austin.
Well, I like to see, people might not agree because they're not the big names, they're not Jimmy Schultz, they're not these all-conference guys, but I'm saying Robbie Jackson and Patrick Newell. Yes, Patrick Newell is a Hobie Baker finalist, but besides this year, he was kind of on the bench for the Huskies. I watched this game last night for the Hartford Wolfpack. The guy looked like he belonged on the ice, had scoring chance over the middle, but they didn't get his pass. Otherwise, Robbie Jackson, fire, determination, and a shooter. You want this guy on your team. I can tell you that right now.
Blake?
There's a reason that Patrick Newell's in the AHL right now with the Rangers completely out of the playoffs when they could be playing him and they're not. It's got to be, and it obviously is Ryan Poehling, and he's a former first-round draft pick, 25th overall of the Montreal Canadiens. Whether he makes his big impact this year or not, I'm looking long-term. The Canadiens are in a playoff race, and none of these guys can play in the playoffs anyway if any of these teams make it. And I think, it has to be Ryan Poehling. He's got 31 points the last 2 years at SESU. And he's going to break into a lineup of the Montreal Canadiens that has a pretty poor top six, that has Andrew Shaw playing.
I'm going to have to disagree with you and say Jimmy Schultz. Okay, he's a 3-year captain, defensive man of the year for the Huskies and the NHCH, sorry. And he's number 2 in the Hobie Baker voting for a reason. This man's been incredible. Defensive man that can make an instant impact with a team that is so young. He can become one of their first stars, really. Great defender. He's got 35 points in 39 games with the Huskies this season with 25 assists and 10 goals, and just an incredible defender. He's been great for the Huskies this whole time. I don't see why he can't be great for the Vegas Golden Knights as well.
We're not talking about now. We're talking about full all through the future. Robbie Jackson's been durable. He had 19 goals this year, a career high. He's only gotten better and better and better. He has the scorer's mentality. That's what people want in the NHL now. And if you're Robbie you could question his character, but we've seen it here, and it's been fiery, and it's only fueled their
There's a reason,
team.
though, that all these guys we're talking about outside of Poehling weren't drafted.
If you
over
sleep
the last
on Robbie
3 years.
Jackson, what are you
Schultz
doing? What are you doing?
Is a Hobie Baker finalist
That
for
doesn't-
a
I'm
reason,
gonna
back-to-back years.
Drew LeBlanc won the Hobie Baker.
I'm going to have to
He didn't
cut
make the NHL.
you guys off. I think the guy that might actually make the biggest impact is Jimmy Schultz. He has led this Huskies team. They've been number 1 the past 2 years. I think he knows how to win. I think he's going to make the biggest impact. So I'm going to give that point over to Ernie. When we come back, what will Arizona decide to do with their number 1 pick, and what's in store for the MLB season? Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, everyone. We got Blake in the lead with 3 points, and Ernie and Austin are tied with 2. Well, we are officially less than a month away from this year's NFL draft. Lots of teams are looking for the next face of their franchise. The Arizona Cardinals hold the number 1 pick in the draft. There's been a lot of speculation on if they're going to draft Heisman Trophy winner Kyler Murray and ship Josh Rosen off to another team. So, guys, who are they going to take with their pick, or are they going to even use it at all? We're going to start off with Blake.
I think they're going to take Kyler Murray. I don't think it should be him, but I think that it will be him. Listen, Cliff Kingsbury, probably the least qualified NFL coach to get hired this offseason, and this is probably
Maybe we've seen in history.
ever, and this is probably going to be the only head coaching gig he will ever get. So if he wants Kyler Murray, if he thinks that's his guy, he's going to take him. I don't really think he has a choice. This is going to be his one chance to put his mark on a franchise. And I think Murray's a great fit for the offense he wants to run.
Ernie?
I think Murray's a great player, but at the end of the day, offense wins games, defense wins championships. Did you see the last Super Bowl? Patriots holding the Rams to nothing. They're not giving up anything, and they win that championship. I think they take Nick Bosa. He's an animal on defense, and you got to give Rosen some time to grow. Okay, it's 1 year in the NFL. We've seen what players can do in their sophomore seasons. I mean, guys like Jared Goff playing better, and I mean, he's not a perfect quarterback at this point, but Kyler Murray's still a smaller quarterback. Only one that's really worked in that has been
Let's
Wilson.
go over to Austin.
All right, if you are the Arizona Cardinals, please, please, please do not draft Kyler Murray or Nick Bosa for that fact. You trade that pick. Look at your team right now. Where's the depth? There is none. Don't take Kyler. You took a QB at number 10 last year for a reason. Get more picks. That's what the Cleveland Browns did, and we're all hyped over them. That's what the Arizona Cardinals should do. They're at the bottom right now. You trade your pick. You acquire more picks because you have your quarterback. You have your franchise. And if there's not a guy that jumps off the board, you drop in the draft, you acquire more picks, and you build that. If you take Kyler, that puts him at risk with a garbage offensive line, which Rosen was sacked 45 times last year, 7th most in the NFL.
Who do you trade down with? There's 2 teams in the first round that have 2 first-round picks.
Someone that wants Nick Bosa, someone that wants Kyler Murray, someone that wants to make a splash.
The Giants have 2 first-round picks. They're not trading them because they have way too many holes to fill. And the Packers have 2 first-round picks, and they're not trading either of them. And I don't even think the Cardinals would want to drop all the way down to 12 with the Packers. So
why are you assuming it's just the Packers that are in there?
I'm going to have to cut you off. I'm going to actually have to go with Ernie. I think that they have to give Josh Rosen some time. I think going defensively, Nick Bosa is a great pick. So I'm going to give that point over to Ernie. With the MLB season underway, that means warm weather is coming and a summer filled with baseball fun. Each team is looking to dethrone the defending champion Boston Red Sox, but with a lot of new faces in different places, this might cause a shakeup in the league. What are your guys' bold predictions for the MLB season? Ernie, we'll go with you.
This one may not be extremely bold, but I think Yelich is going to win back-to-back MVPs in the National League, okay? No player has done it since 2008-09 with Albert Pujols doing it, and that guy's an absolute legend. But Yelich, there's no way you could start a season better than he has right now. Brewers are sitting at 6-1. 4 home runs to start the season, tied for the most to ever do that. He's got a 3.75 batting average. In his worst game of the season, he had the game-winning run. Scored against the Reds in the 9th inning, getting knocked in by Ryan Braun. This man's played incredible last year and was very deserving of the National League MVP, and I think he's even more so this year.
I'm saying I like that take on Yelich, but it's just a hot start. We've seen this many times. There's 150-something games left in the season. Don't freak out over Christian Yelich just yet. He's a great player, one of the best in the league. He's up there with Mike Trout. But I'm saying right now that the Angels will make it to the American League Championship Series. Mike Trout, this is his year. Justin Upton, they have great depth. And they're the most injured roster
go over to Blake
or tied with the most injured roster in the league right now.
Let me double dip on my Rays prediction from a few weeks ago. The Devil Rays, Chris, by the way, if you're listening in there. They will win the American League East this year. We've seen the Red Sox come out. Oh, you want bold. You want bold. They'll leap the Red Sox. They'll leap the Yankees. That's it. I mean, they have the best, and that's right, the best starting rotation in the American League East. I don't care what the Red Sox have. Talk to me about it later.
You don't
They've got
care
Tyler
what they have,
Glasnow,
so
Charlie
you're
Morton,
saying
and
they're better.
reigning Cy Young winner, Blake Snell.
The Red Sox won the World Series, though, for a reason, and the Yankees were
off to
so
a 1-5
close to getting
start.
that.
Okay, it would be reasonable if it was a wild card.
Hot starts happen for Yelich.
There are 2 great teams to stop them there, though. The Brewers were thought of as being in the mix, and they've jumped ahead right away.
Do we want
the Rays aren't even in that
or
mix
bold?
for winning that.
Bold predictions.
Bold prediction.
Bold predictions.
The Angels are making it. This is Mike Trout's year. He's not here to sit around anymore and collect his money. He's one of the guys that loves baseball. He loves the game.
Who else on that
They
roster
haven't
is
put it
good?
together yet,
All
though.
right,
Why did
guys.
they put it together now all of a sudden?
Because they have a new
guys.
change of staff.
I'm going to have to cut you off. I am actually going to go with Blake on this one. The Rays, I think they have a real shot at taking the AL East. Don't touch that remote because when we come back, we will reveal our winners. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. I'm here with our winner, Blake Tyson, with 4 points. Ernie ended up with 3, and Austin ended up with 2. Blake, take it away.
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks to Nick Speliopoulos for not being here today to allow somebody else the chance to win this week. And with my little time to myself, I would just like to send a shout out to Leif Ender, one of our producers here, because Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy Oh, that story was great. The Bleacher Report article coming out today. Mike McCarthy, I love you because I hate Aaron Rodgers. And I used to hate you, Mike McCarthy, but you make Aaron Rodgers so angry that it makes me happy. You know, it's a circle of emotions, and I despise Aaron Rodgers, and I just.
All right, we're gonna have to cut you off there. Blake, congratulations on the win. That's all for us here on Crunch Time. I'm your host, Alex Cotter, and we'll see you back here next week.